Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Momentum Live. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world today. My name's Michael Hardinge, and really appreciate all the support we've had over the past couple of weeks over our time launching Momentum Live. We've had such a fun few sessions, having really fun guest interviews and Q&As and things like that, and we will be continuing that trend today, because today we have Kelsie Adelaide, a very talented actor who's been in a number of things. More known for Momentum's sake through her work on Mast, which now has over 1 million views on YouTube, but is also the star in a very popular LGBT series Flunk, and has been in a number of things over the years. You might even have seen her in San Andreas, I believe, is another film that Kelsie is in. But yeah, really excited today because we're going to have a bit of a chat about how life's going at the moment, what Mast's experience was like, and there's take questions from the audience. So without further ado, Kelsie, welcome to Momentum Live.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for having me.
So good to have you. So I guess first off, how are you doing in these interesting times that we all live in?
Yeah, good. Been just kind of keeping to myself and keeping busy, and obviously being in Melbourne where we're locked down harder than the rest of the country. It's days are tricky, but yeah, just been plodding along.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, if any of you have any questions throughout the entire stream, let us know. We're going to be checking both the YouTube and the Facebook live stream and sort of answering any questions along the process. But Kelsie, maybe to start off with, let's have a chat about Mast. Obviously, this is something we shot back in 2018 now and released in 2019. And this was a project that we did with Knox Council here in Victoria, and we worked with their LGBT young group to kind of help them to kind of bring their vision to life of making some sort of LGBT film, and Mast was the result of that. So I just want to have a chat about what that process was like for you, and I guess starting at the beginning, when you first saw the casting call, what sort of made you want to be a part of the film?
I guess, 2018 was the first year that I ever moved to Melbourne. I think I moved in May of 2018, and then we shot in October, I believe.
Yeah, late October, I think.
Late October, yeah. So I kind of was like, I was looking for any work that I could get, and then when the listing came up, I thought, you know what, this is, as like a young queer person who's just moved to quite an open city, I was really looking to be doing queer work done by and for queer people, which is just something that I'd never had the opportunity to work in before.
Sure.
So when I saw the listing, I was like, yep, Bonza, let's do it.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, actually, not many people would know this, but when you first auditioned, you didn't actually apply for the role of Zach to begin with. No. Do you remember what you did apply for originally?
Yeah, I applied for Talia, who in the film is played by Natalie Fenwick, and she does a better job than I could have done. But I think I initially applied for Talia because she was the best friend, and she was kind of fun and bubbly, but also really emotion adverse. But she, I think the reason I did was because there's such an emphasis on trans people playing trans characters, and while I'm not a cisgender person myself, I'm on the kind of non-binary spectrum, I still was like, this character's a trans guy, a trans guy should play a trans guy. And then it wasn't until the actual trans guys who were like working on the film, they kind of said to me, we want you to play the trans guy. I was like, okay,
yeah,
cool. Like,
for sure. Yeah. That was a really interesting conversation, because I think from the beginning we definitely wanted to make sure that we had people that were sort of having the best representation of themselves on screen in a way. But also we really did want the best person for the role. And I think after we had your audition, we were just like, Kelsie was so good, but we just think we sort of had an idea. We're like, we didn't really have a clear person in mind for who could play Zach to the vision that we had in mind. And we had a number of people come through, both trans and cisgender and things like that. But after a lot of we sort of thought, it's better to have the right person play the role that's going to do it the justice that it deserves. And I think in the end that was a really fantastic result as well. So we were super stoked to be able to have you be a part of that.
Oh, and thanks for having me. It was fantastic.
For sure. I mean, and I guess we can both kind of see the response and the result from this. Like it's got over, I think last I checked, it's now got 1.1 million views on YouTube or something crazy like that. But what's the response been like for you in terms of like, the fans and the YouTube community and things like that have really got around this film?
It's been lovely, especially like on the more personal side of it. I got a message from a friend only a couple days ago who said that a friend of hers had watched it and really identified with it. I have family members who've kind of come to me and been like, this has helped me work some stuff out. And it's been amazing to see. Like, I get messages like every week from people who, just strangers as well, who just say, oh, this, I really enjoyed this. And you, like, what's been made has really helped me, or has helped me deal with even people who've said, oh, my friend has just come out as trans and I didn't know, what that meant or what to do with this. And I watched this film and it kind of helped. So it's been really, really lovely to hear from people and to hear their stories and how and even just reading the comments on the video itself on YouTube, just
Yeah,
the
totally.
way people have been sharing their stories.
Yeah, that's one of the things that still surprised me to this day. Like, it's been on YouTube since January of last year, and every day still we're getting so many comments, and it's had this incredible like community built around the video. Like, people will get vulnerable in the comment section, and people will kind of give them advice and egg each other on to be the best version of themselves, which is I mean, if the film could have helped one person, that's incredible. But the fact that it's had the response that it has really goes to show the work that the young people from the LGBT youth group at Knox and the team at Knox City Council were really able to make something that was impactful and powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess with that, how does it feel to be in a film that, brings light to such a proud, but in a lot of ways a very disenfranchised community?
I think the most important thing about, like, that almost sets this film apart from other ones that you can find on YouTube about the trans experience, is the idea of the happy ending. I think there's, in a lot of the other ones that I've watched, there's sometimes this, and especially in like big films, there's this really sad, like, kind of downward spiral of the story to all of them. And the importance of this one having, there is the kind of climactic event, and there is talks of self-harm and suicide and all the things that young trans people face when they're dealing with hardships. It's all right in the end,
Yeah.
Everything's okay, and it will be. Like, we don't need to see his parents accepting him. We just know from the filmmaking in general. But it's incredibly important to bring a positive storyline, in my opinion, to these kind of issues, because life is hard, and if you're constantly seeing yourself in a really negative light, it can be really, really hard to feel, like what the point is in continuing. Yeah. So seeing that there is always a point and that there's always hope is very powerful, and this film does it quite well.
Totally, for sure. And I guess with that, there's so many reasons why this film had the impact that it did, but I think one of the main things was because it did have, it was a story for trans young people that was, created by trans young people and made by other members of the LGBT community. So I guess with that, what got you excited with working with both Knox Council but also their LGBT youth group to make this happen?
Community is like the most important thing. I think we're seeing it a lot now as we're looking at ways to increase community support as opposed to, say, government support and all that kind of thing. How we can, as people, can support each other. So seeing a council, a community, like a town council, able to to come in and say, hey, we want to give some support to these young people who are incredibly talented and gifted and have a lot of like amazing ideas that they have. Even when I've seen them, like some of the young people we were working with, I've seen them just in the world on the train and stuff like that. And they'll kind of be like, yeah, we were thinking about like what could happen next, or like we have this other idea. And it's amazing to see when, those kind of authority bodies who get to make the decisions are able to step in and say, hey, we care and we're going to support you in this and give you the chance to tell your story, is invaluable. And creates in the community creates this kind of strength that is needed to keep to keep everyone happy and fulfilled.
Totally. And I think one of the things as well that, yeah, I mean, you absolutely nailed it there. Like when decision makers are able to actively let young people have the space and the creativity and the freedom to just go out there and make something that is meaningful to them and they feel like it's going to be meaningful to others, it really just has an incredible impact. Yeah, so massive props to the whole team at Knox Council, but also the youth group that we worked with. They all did such an amazing job, and we will chat at the end a little bit about what's next for them as well, because I think they've got some cool things in the works too.
Cool.
Apart from that, also feel free to leave any questions you have throughout this stream, and we will ask Kelsie live. But going back to production, and this was a couple of years ago now, so if you can remember back that far, do you have like a favorite moment from on set?
I think there was a cat at one point. I think we were having lunch.
That's right.
There was this, we were filming at the house, and we're all having lunch, and this, I think maybe it was a ginger cat. I did take a photo of it. I thought I was obsessed.
Yep.
And I didn't understand why not enough other people were obsessed as well with this cat that just came along and lay down and was very cuddly. And I think other than that, I loved filming at the, was it a homestead that we filmed at?
Yeah, so not many people would actually know that, but the hospital scene is not shot at a hospital. It's shot at a homestead. I think it was called Miller's Homestead in Knox. So, one of the benefits of being able to work with council is they were able to give us access to some of their locations to be able to make it happen. And yeah, the team did an amazing job at making that place look not like a homestead or something like that. And that was also used for both the party scene.
Oh, for the party as well.
Yeah, so it was really versatile location. And even here, like, we won't be able to see too much of the actual shot here, but like they did such a good job organising extras and getting people in wheelchairs and scrubs and things like that, so it looked like a hospital. So they did such a good job of being able to bring that vision to life, which was really cool. And I guess as well, what's it like seeing Mast not only on YouTube but kind of do the rounds, because now it's been going to, from festival to festival everywhere in the world. I know recently it's currently showing at Film Pride in Brighton, in the UK, which is really exciting, and it's been on TV over there a couple of times. It's been in film festivals from the Gold Coast to Amsterdam. So what's it like to kind of see it not only be accepted and shown in an online format, but also in festivals across the world?
I mean, like I grew up going to film festivals with like short film festivals with my mum, and I think one of them was the Heart of Gold Film Festival, which my mum sent to me, and she was like, "Oh, you need to tell Momentum about this," because so I have like a pretty loved connection to film festivals, and the idea of there being one in like the UK, and it just people just watching it over there, and it obviously not on their through their internet, is incomprehensible. Like it's really wild.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool, and especially the one Film Pride as well. Like they've been able to adapt during COVID, and they've actually been showing the festival both that's but they've also been showing it through their local TV stations, which has been really cool. So there's still ways people are adapting and getting important films out there with the community, which is really cool. But Mast aside, you're also a part of another very popular LGBT series, Flunk, which also just got announced that Screen Australia are going to be funding season 3. So massive congratulations for that.
Thank you.
What's the experience of Flunk been like for you?
Fantastic. It's been it's just been crazy. Like I didn't ever expect to get anything that I was really interested in when I moved here. I thought I would have to be working through a lot of shorts or things that I was not super invested in. But the idea of working in a show that has a fan base, for one, I'm really interested in the way that fan bases work and communicate, and it's a really interesting phenomenon that's quite new.
Yep.
And so to be a part of one of those and to see the way that people react to these things, and also just that it's steady work, like just from like a regular old actor's point of view, it's so refreshing to know that, you do season 1 and then you film season 2 and then eventually you'll film season 3 and you'll get paid for it, and then people will see it and they'll love it, or they won't love it, and they'll talk about it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's really, really cool.
Totally. And it's really cool to see that it's also another local production that's based in the Yarra Valley that's doing really cool things. And you guys get millions of views on each episode, so it's definitely got a massive fan base there, and it's so impressive. So and quite often we'll get in the comments of Mast, it's like, oh my god, is that I forgot your character's
Danny
name.
Yeah.
Danny, that's it. They're like, oh, is that Danny from Flunk? And we're like, yes it is.
I do try and mesh them. I think there was a review by a YouTuber of Masked, and on his video I was kind of like, oh, I also do this other show as well if you want to check that out. And then when people talk to me about Masked, I'm like, oh, I also am in this, about Flunk, I'm like, I'm also in this other movie, like you could look at that maybe. Just kind of across the two.
For sure. And I think it is really cool that you were able to so quickly find work that you're actually really passionate about. And quite often that doesn't happen in the industry, especially if you move to a new state to be able to pursue acting. So it's so cool that you're able to just find projects to sort of just immediately jump into that you were really passionate about, which was awesome.
Yeah, I think it also comes with being someone who, like, I know what I like, and I know that I like to tell queer stories, and I know that like my next kind of thing is to bring in my love of fantasy and D&D, and to just decide that that's what I want to pursue and want to do, and those are the stories I want to tell.
For sure.
And make them queer as well, because why not? Like,
yeah, totally.
If no one else is telling them, we may as well. So
yeah, for sure. So again, if you do have any questions, please let us know. We do have a couple coming through. So I'm definitely going to butcher names here, so apologies everyone. But on YouTube, we have Dark Angel Star Spiritual say, hi, I love your video. I'm gay, I love you guys, good job. So thank you very much for that. Not really a question, but we appreciate the support regardless. San, who I'm going to butcher these names, guys, I'm very sorry. San has a question which you might be able to offer a little bit of insight on. They want to know, how can they figure out if they're trans or lesbian?
It's kind of like a lifelong thing, and it's so hard to answer because it's different for everyone. There can be people who go their whole childhood and teen life without ever really knowing, and then they hit a certain age and they go, oh, hang on a minute, that's always been there and I've never noticed it. Or you could be like me, where I kind of just have mostly always known. Like, I had to do a bit of working out in terms of, when I finally got access to the internet, and I learned that there are different ways to exist than just what was in my hometown.
Yeah.
That's when I was able to be like, oh, right, this sounds like the way that I feel. And then I was able to define it. But before that point, sometimes you just know, sometimes you don't.
Yep.
And the best way to go about it is safely, is to just spend time with yourself and, think on it, really, is my advice.
Yeah, it really is one of those things where just, if you know, you know, and there's no time limit on these things. So whenever you feel comfortable with who you are, I guess there's no one can tell you how you feel or who you are. So yeah, a big question. We could talk about that for for days or weeks or whatever. But yeah, anyway, thank you for those questions. I do want to quickly just sort of check in, regardless of different things like that. Obviously a very challenging time at the moment for everyone, but specifically the creative community has had a big challenge, just because we were sort of one of the first industries to really go down. We had both the tourism and aviation community, but the events and the arts sector, all those sorts of sectors have really struggled, because that's kind of in a lot of ways the most vulnerable sectors to be able to operate, considering that restrictions we have on not being able to wear masks in a film, or not being able to physically distance in scenes and things like that too. But I'm curious, how do you think artists can support each other, and even the broader community? How can they support artists through these challenging times?
Oh, I mean, definitely boosting is one thing. Of if you see a local artist, or even just any kind of smaller or struggling artist who's sharing and saying, I'm working on this, or I'm developing this, share it or tell a friend about it. Just kind of boosting those things. And in turn, if somebody boosts yours, you can boost theirs. And, one person's success doesn't mean less success for you. So you can always, I really always think that boosting each other's work is crucial. And I mean, if you've got the funds, Kickstarters and Patreons and ways to, I think there's one called Coffee, which I think is more of like an art community thing, but it's KOFI, where you buy a coffee for someone, and it's not much, but it helps them.
For sure.
And sometimes it can just be helping them pay their bills, or other times it helps them to fund a project that's going to help them later on down the line. And that's not possible for everyone. Money's hard.
Yeah. I mean, having said that as well, though, it doesn't have to even be a money commitment. If your friend starts a podcast or starts photography, even just interacting with them in the long run is really going to make the difference. And just letting them know that you support them doing really cool stuff is really awesome.
One comment can go a really long way. If somebody just comments on your thing and just says, "This is great," and you're like, "Awesome, people like this, I'm gonna keep doing it."
For sure. Especially sorry, I just got distracted. I just saw a comment from someone we both know, Sam, saying, "Well, if it isn't my two favorite people in the film industry." That is very kind.
Hi, Sam.
Thanks for joining us, Sam. I mean, any way you can support them, especially comments is a really good way to do that too, because especially when you're starting out doing things. I know one comment, when I started my career a number of years ago now, really could have damaged self-confidence if people just, it might not necessarily be bad comments, but I think just the support really helps along the way. And I think everyone needs a bit of a encouraging push at the moment. So any way you can support your friends and mates that are doing creative stuff, then props to you all. So apart from that, tell me, what have you been doing in isolation to pass the time?
Oh, I have been learning. I've been learning things, not in the way my mum wants. My mum wants me to go and do a business course or something, but I've been learning how to bake bread. I've been learning how to order things on Etsy. That's been a fun one. I've been just sitting here. I've been drawing a lot. I do a lot of art nowadays that I never had time to do when I was, working and out in the world. I kind of thought, oh, I don't have time to sit down and draw. And now I'm like, well, I have no time to do anything else because I can't leave. So I've just been kind of garnering the skills that make me happy, that I never had time for before. Because I was, busy, always busy.
For sure. And have you found, I mean, it's hard to look into the future, especially in these times, but have you found that you feel like those things that we all kind of brush aside and don't necessarily make a priority, but now we might have more time to make a priority. Do you see that becoming a more prominent part of your like day-to-day routine going forward, or
I hope
how do
so,
you see?
yeah.
Mm,
I hope that I'm able to, maintain, like, even if I am having to go back to work and getting up at 5 a.m. or whatever, I'm hoping that I'm able to maintain that I can come home and find time to exercise, which I never
yep,
did before,
for
and that I
sure.
can
Yep.
keep these habits of finding the small joys, because there are really
Mm,
little joys in life that you have to notice now, because all of the big distracting happinesses are unavailable. And
yep.
so, like, we have a cat or two cats now that visit, and they're just around, and one's
Ah,
called Mouse and the other one's called Tofu. And they visit, and anytime they do, it's like, back before this began, we would have not really thought about it much, me and my housemates. But now every time they visit, it's this big event, and we take such joy in that. And so I hope to maintain those kind of appreciation of the little things,
totally.
uh, the simpler life.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway for everyone out of this whole situation is we're all going to get a bit more resilient and a lot more grateful when we come out of this. So, yeah, I think everyone's really going to be more grateful and appreciative of the little things in life that kind of just bring us happiness and joy and things like that.
Yeah.
And I guess one of those things for you, even though we're not able to do it in our full scale like normal, is filmmaking. But you've been trying to learn a little bit about it yourself recently. So could you tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been having ideas, and the kind of person who has an idea and I get really stuck on it, and I do like a lot of work on it, and then I don't know, I go and get a drink, and then I forget all about it and come back and I never work on it again. But I did recently have an idea that kind of stuck with me when I was doing self tapes with a friend to send off for acting gigs, and kind of thought, like, why does our storytelling have to be high budget? Because it for one, it can't be right now, unless, I mean, sure, if there's someone who has like a bunch of high budget stuff and wants to make a film in their house, great. I
Or a
don't.
live TV show?
Or a live TV show. Who'd have thunk? um, so yeah, like, I don't have access to that, so I may as well embrace the idea of making, the idea that the story is what is high budget. It doesn't matter, as long as the video is semi clear and the audio is good. What matters is what's being said and what stories are being weaved.
Yep.
So I've been looking into ways to create storytelling through, yeah, the smallest of budgets. And I've taken the idea to a couple people, a couple just really close friends, and they've gone, oh, we could have green screens and props. And I was like, cool, or we don't. Like, what if it's literally just a white wall? What if it's the way that we as actors shoot? We tell stories every time we audition, but they're snippets. So
Yep.
yeah, I've been looking into ways to extend those snippets into longer stories. So something may come of that, or
Yeah.
I may get distracted by a new skill that I want to learn, and then come back to it later on when it's easier. But yeah, may as well learn learn some new filmmaking techniques if I've got the
Yeah.
time.
For sure. And I guess, yeah, you really hit the nail on the head there. I think while there is a place, and there always will be a place for high budget production, you know, story is king. It doesn't matter if your film was shot on an $80,000 camera. If the story isn't good, who really cares? If it doesn't connect with the audience, if it doesn't make a difference, if it doesn't, you know, distract you from the world for however long the piece goes for,
Yeah.
yeah, you're really missing the point. So, as much as I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and say, look, you don't need big production, because there'll always be a place for that. But yeah, story is always king. So if you just use the tools that you've got to be able to make that story in the best way possible, with what you have, that's always going to be the best outcome versus not making anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Well, I guess to wrap up, Kelsie, thank you so much for having us. But if anyone wants to follow you along or sort of get in contact and sort of just see more of your work, where would be the best place for them to head?
Ooh, possibly. Instagram would be where I'm most active. So that'll be at Kelsie AJS. So that's KELSIE AJS. Or I do have a Facebook page, which is, I think, just called Kelsie Adelaide. I'm not super active on Facebook. I don't even have it on my phone, but I do have Instagram. So
Nice.
leave a comment for me. I post mainly just work stuff over there, and yeah, and
Cool.
you can keep a track of all the stuff I create.
For sure. Good stuff. Actually, we do have one more guest question before we do wrap up. Matt wants to know, as an actor, what draws you to be a role and what is your dream role?
Ooh, thanks, Matt. So what draws me to like take a certain role would be, I like characters who have a bit of an edge to them. I'd read a lot of character, bios for potential roles that can be quite, especially for feminine characters, can be quite bland. So I'm always looking for characters that have some kind of intrinsic flaw, something about them that is really, I guess the kids would consider problematic. Kids still say that?
You're asking the wrong person, Kelsie.
But yeah, like, a character that's got issues and has hang-ups. Those are the characters that I would love to play. And I guess a dream role. When I was a kid, it used to be Peter Pan, because I did a lot of theatre. and then it was Katniss Everdeen, but obviously that's taken. I don't have a dream role, like in terms of an actual character. But I would just love to play like a kind of strange, queer, odd person who is wacky and fun and loves their friends. That's about it.
Yeah, it's something with a bit of depth and, something you can kind of dive into and make fun and quirky, I guess. But yeah. Well, Kelsie, we might leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck with season 3 of Flunk. I know I'm enjoying seeing all the little snippets of season 2 come out and things like that. But yeah, hopefully we can all get back to filming soon so we can get more Flunk. And also, we do, I don't know how much I can talk about, but we do have another film with the Knox LGBT youth group in the works. So watch this space, I suppose. But yeah, apart from that, Kelsie, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Cool. Thanks, Michael.
No worries. Thanks, Kelsie. Well, thank you all so much for watching today. We hope you've been enjoying Momentum Live. We've certainly been enjoying making it all for you. Next week, we're going to be chatting to our content producer and in-house director of photography, Lockie McEwen. And we're going to be doing a cinematography breakdown of some family violence commercials that we filmed last year for our client, City of Greater Dandenong. So that should be really fun, but we're still open to lots of ideas of what you want to see on the show. So if you have any ideas, let us know in the comments. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to wear your mask here in Melbourne, and I'll see you all next time on Momentum Live.